Good evening. Welcome to another episode of our month-long e-conclave on breast cancer, brought to you by IHW Council and Novartis India. For about a fortnight now, we have discussed the incidence of breast cancer in our country. Everybody seems to agree that early detection brought about by awareness and proactive action is our best bet to bring the looming cancer epidemic under control in India. Sadly, data shows that while majority of breast cancer cases in the West are reported in stage 1 and 2 of the disease, in India, 45.7% report in advanced stages. Today, we will be discussing how different is advanced breast cancer in its management and outcomes. But before we start the discussion and welcome our esteemed panelists, here's a snapshot of the ground that we've covered in the Breast Cancer Action Month, addressing India's breast cancer epidemic, moving from awareness to action. We kickstarted our month-long campaign on 1st of October. Here's a quick recap.
Breast cancer is the number one type of cancer in women today. To exhort and encourage all of us to move from awareness to action, ISW Council, in partnership with Novartis India, embark on month-long mega virtual conclave, Breast Cancer Action Month.
Awareness around cancer, awareness around women health, awareness about around all the artificial things that we engage in, and vanity has its own impact on our health, and I think it's time to turn the tables on the other side.
The problem is really at two levels. One is, like I said, with the media centering a lot of communication around what is significant in that month. And the second is, as a society itself, we just don't want to mention the word breast.
Why do you think that the people in US, they are diagnosed stage 0? 80% of the ladies, the disease is diagnosed in stage 0, 1 and 2. While in India, it is 80% stage 3 and 4. Why? Only one reason, the awareness.
NCCN guidelines says if you are at high risk for male breast cancer, which is you had a testicular cancer, you survived, there was a radiation history, you have a cirrhosis of the liver, family history of breast cancer, prostate cancer, then you should do a breast self-examination.
You know, the single biggest risk factor for all cancers, including breast cancer, is aging. If you live longer, then you are more predisposed to get all kinds of non-communicable diseases, including cancers, including breast cancer.
So there were three things which I think you should not have a fear, you should have an early consultation, and you should not consider any other pathy. You should go for only evidence-based medicine.
Awareness amongst women and go to the doctor. Do not feel shy. Do not feel intimidated. It is no more a stigma. It's no more a taboo. And there are excellent treatments available. You really must go as early as you can, because don't be in a denial.
Breast cancer is actually a neglected subject for our medical students at the same time. So I feel a push for medical education, a push for innovation, and a push for decentralization of three things are very high on my wish list.
Please, I request the cancer patients and the survivors absolutely do not think that it is going to eat you. You are more strong. Stand strong. Your sky is not the limit. Your mind is the limit.
Taking the screening, but making it screening to drive value into the system, make it screening for breast cancer, for cervical cancer, for oral cancer and colonic cancer. And if you can club it into one screening program, you will get more economical results and better.
The government's National Health Mission, as well as the other state governments, should make it a point and make mammogram as a mandatory test available for women in their 40s.
A big thank you to all our esteemed panelists for joining us today. fight against breast cancer, we need awareness and action at all levels. And to make every woman and man become the ambassador of good breast health, we at the IHW Council have begun a mass movement of taking a pledge that each one of us will talk to at least 5 people about breast health in our life. In this pledge, we can really save lives of so many women who get impacted with breast cancer. Lawmakers, social leaders, influencers, and medical experts who are joining us to chart out the way forward to prevent breast cancer in India have also shown their exceptional support to this campaign. We are also thankful to Novartis India for their support to this movement. We would request all our panelists joining us today and viewers to please sign this pledge by clicking on the link in the comment box of this live post. You can also visit the IHW Council page. You can sign the pledge there. Once you sign the pledge, you get a certificate now, which you can download. We request you to please share the certificate on your social media handles and tag 5 people at least to take this pledge and promote breast health of our women. So we urge all of you to support us to strengthen this movement and make breast cancer free, our country breast cancer free. Now, let's get back to what we're going to be talking about today. Now, when cancer spreads from the breast or armpits to other areas of the body, it is called advanced breast cancer. It's also called metastatic, secondary, or stage 4 breast cancer. Now, metastatic breast cancer is not currently curable, yet there are many treatments available. The aim of the treatment is to prolong life and to preserve the quality of life by relieving symptoms. We today have a panel of experts from the field joining us to discuss how different is advanced breast cancer in its management and its outcomes. Please welcome Ms. Ranjana Kumari, Director, Center for Social Research, Dr. Hemant Malhotra, Director, Sri Ram's Cancer Center and Professor and Head of Department of Medical Oncology, Mahatma Gandhi Medical College Hospital, Mahatma Gandhi University of Medical Sciences and Technology, Jaipur. We also have with us Kavita Shetty. She's a caregiver. Later in the show, we'll also be joined by Dr. Melissa Gao, EGM Regional Director, Medical Director Oncology, Amaco Medical, Novartis Oncology, and Dr. Ghanshyam Biswas, Consultant Medical Oncologist and Executive Director, Sparsh Hospitals and Critical Care. A warm welcome to all of you for joining us on the show today. We have Dr. Biswas also joining us now, and a warm welcome to all of you for joining us in this show. I would like to start with you, Ms. Kumari. You know, you have done so much work with women in our country, and it really breaks your heart that just because women are not aware, just because there is a perceived stigma attached to breast cancer, that women are unwilling to talk about it or even come forward for early treatment. Now, would you say that these are the biggest barriers that prevent breast cancer patients from coming out in early stages when the treatment is actually easier?
I think let me put this whole issue in perspective. Already, India is a country which spends the least in terms of healthcare. Generally, you know, whether it is the central government budget or the state government's budget. And this has struck us most in the times of pandemic, you know, this pandemic, that how little we are prepared in terms of community health services, in terms of, you know, all other infrastructure that is needed to deal with situation. Now, let's come to the women's health. We have a number of schemes which are going to up to the rural areas, and we do have, but every single scheme that is going to rural areas does not really specify how the scheme will reach to women and what kind of a healthcare will be given to women, except for maternity, where ASHA workers have been given that responsibility for institutional birthing. That's where the whole thing stops. So I think that's the overall issue at the moment. But let's come to the women. And as you rightly said, you know, 4 decades of my life has gone into doing this. And also I'm here because I support Pinkathon. You know, I'm part of those programs where people are doing with their breast awareness campaigns. And I certainly put my weight where whatever I can do into those programs. And that is why I'm here to support you all. But at the moment, the issue is that three factors, and I think I'm sure your other panelists must have mentioned that. Let's put those three factors together. Why women A do not recognize when it happens to them. B, when they recognize, they take so much time to report that it becomes late stage. And C, that what kind of treatment are available and they receive finally. And what is the access and the cost. So I think these, if we step by step go, first and foremost is that women are absolutely silent about their health in this country. They are trained to be silent about health, except for some educated class women, some upper middle class women who are really aware, but otherwise you hide your illness. And you know, in pandemic, one of the things that we've learned that women are dying more in India in terms of absolute numbers than men. That's not the case in any other country. But you know, we have 3.3% women dying, where 2.7% men dying during this pandemic also. That means women start from a weak health point of view. So A, there is a silence about their own health. There is shyness about their own health, and also they never would like to, and especially breast cancer, breast has been, you know, so much sexualized as a body organ that women certainly would like to hide it. You know, breastfeeding in the public is such an issue in this country. You know, anything to do with the women's body is really something which has to be hidden, which has to be silenced about, and which really should not be exposed. And when you look at the rural health infrastructure, how much it is available in terms of, you know, women going to a female doctor and trying to share this problem, even if they identify the problem, you know, by themselves. So that's the other thing, the shyness about it, the shame of it, that women are not reporting it. So, and since we work a lot in rural areas, even when you try to tell them what's happening to them needs immediate attention, they must go. Then there is a question of access. You know, all said and done, there is much less access to majority of our women in the rural areas to get this. So, and also the fear factor. So there is an information deficit, and also there is a knowledge deficit about it. And that is why this, the cancer word itself creates such kind of a reaction, not only among, you know, with the patient herself, but also with the family and everybody. So there is a big fear factor which is there. And these are the reasons why I will say that basically, so I would say that it's the shame, it's the silence, and the fear, and also limited access, which is, you know, cost to for this treatment. You know, taking the, who will take the trouble for a woman? You know, she's the last and the least to be paid attention when it comes to her own health.
Right. Dr. Malhotra, Ranjana ma'am has brought out, you know, the real truth about this problem in our country. Now, you know, previously, some of the experts have told us that, you know, women have presented themselves with a huge, you know, huge lump in their breast, sometimes with even pus emanating out of it, and they've done nothing about it so far. Now, if you're presented with such a patient, of course, you would realize that perhaps, you know, it's moved beyond the first few stages. Now, for other women who come late, how do we figure out that the cancer has metastasized from, you know, the breast? Are there signs and symptoms which are different in different stages? Can women keep a lookout?
So thank you, Anisha. I hope you can hear me clearly. Like, I'd like to address the question you asked Dr. Ranjana for just a very short while. After being in oncology for 30 years, if I were to list two factors which are foremost in late diagnosis of breast cancer in our Indian women, the first is lack of awareness. So there, the media and you people play a huge role, and programs like this play a huge role, that we have to propagate that breast cancer is one of the commonest cancers in women, and if you have a lump in the breast, go to a doctor. And the second thing is fear. The lady has felt that lump in her breast, but she is afraid of a diagnosis of cancer and its implications, both treatment wise and cost wise and expense to the family wise. And she willfully does not go to the medical professional for checkup. So if these two things can be fixed in our country, then we will make a big progress. So, like a few facts about advanced breast cancer, what we are discussing today, advanced breast cancer need not be metastatic breast cancer. So like large stage 2 disease, stage 3 disease are also grouped into advanced breast cancer, and they are curable. Only metastatic breast cancer, meaning once the disease has started to spread from the breast to the bloodstream to other organs, that is when it becomes stage 4, and that is when it becomes difficult to cure. Now, in the past 10 years, we have a new definition, which is oligometastatic breast cancer, which means that there are only a few metastases. So even if a lady has breast cancer, which has spread to
Other parts.
one or two sites in a body, oligometastatic, like few metastases, then in about 20 or 30% of patients, we can still cure them. So this is a change which has happened in the past 5-10 years, and this is an important message to convey to our listeners, that suppose you have only one single metastasis in your lungs, or one metastasis in your liver, or maybe one metastasis in your bone, then we can either take it out by surgery or burn it with radiation and still treat you with curative intent. So that is something new which has come up in the past 5 to 10 years. Now, regarding symptoms of metastatic breast cancer, that will depend essentially on where the disease has spread. If it has spread to the brain, the patient could present with seizures, the patient could present with a neurological deficit, like inability to move one arm or one leg or one half of the body. If it has spread to the lungs, then you could have a symptom of dry cough and blood in the sputum. If it has spread to the bones, you can have a bump over there or severe pain over there. And similarly, if it has spread to the liver, then you can have a little bit of jaundice, feeling of anorexia, not feeling hungry, weight loss. So it will basically depend upon where the disease has spread. One more thing is, I think, which our listeners should know, is that sometimes, not very commonly, but sometimes the disease in the breast is so small that the lady doesn't feel it. Particularly, the patient has heavy breasts. So it's a 1 or 2 centimeter disease deep inside the breast. And the first presenting sign is the sign of metastasis. So the patient has an episode of seizures, CT scan or an MRI scan of the brain is done, a secondary is detected over there, then a search is made for the primary, and you find it in the breast. So that is another scenario which can happen. The breast disease may be so small, completely without any symptoms, and you could still have the disease spread.
Right. Dr. Biswas, you heard Dr. Malhotra also speak. Now, for many women in our country, it becomes a vicious cycle. जैसे ही हम कैंसर बोलते हैं तो एक डर आ जाता है, कैंसर मतलब डेथ सेंटेंस। और ये इसलिए आता है क्योंकि ज़्यादातर हमारे देश में औरतों को पता नहीं है, तो वो लेट स्टेज पे प्रेजेंट करती हैं, फिर प्रोग्नोसिस बहुत बुरा हो जाता है, उनके आउटकम्स इतने अच्छे नहीं रहते। तो जैसे ही हम बोलते हैं कैंसर, ऐसे डर सा आ जाता है, चाहे वो पेशेंट में आए या वो उनकी फैमिली में आए। अब ये कैसे हम सबको बताएं? हमारी तो यही कोशिश है कि हम सबको समझाएं कि आप जल्दी इसको पकड़िए, ताकि आपका ट्रीटमेंट जल्दी हो सके और आउटकम आपका अच्छा रहे ट्रीटमेंट का। अगर किसी की एडवांस स्टेज में, जैसे डॉक्टर मल्होत्रा ने हमें एक्सप्लेन किया कि इतना छोटा लंप है और ये हो सकता है हमारे देश में, क्योंकि यंगर पॉपुलेशंस में आजकल देखने को मिल रहा है, उनके ब्रेस्ट इतने डेंस होते हैं, बहुत बार हम ये बहुत जल्दी पकड़ नहीं पाते हैं और कहीं और आपको एक ट्यूमर मिल जाए। तो इस सिचुएशन में हम कैसे पेशेंट्स को एक्सप्लेन करें कि डरने की बात नहीं है, हमारे ट्रीटमेंट्स इतने एडवांस हो चुके हैं कि इसको भी हम सक्सेसफुली ट्रीट कर सकते हैं।
Thank you, Anisha, for that question. Nice question. So I'll take it one by one. First is that all lumps in the breast, whatever may be the age group, so they are not necessary to be cancers. Secondly, cancers are detected late, maybe another reason, because all these lumps are actually painless. So if there is a painful lump, so it must be either inflammatory or infective, or we are dealing with the advanced stage of cancer. The second part. Third part, that in 2020, when we are talking about breast cancers, हम breast cancer का बात कर रहे हैं. So even आज का डेट में all advanced breast cancers, they are not going to die in next 6 months. So there are patients of stage 4 lung breast cancers who can live for at least 5 years, 10 years. And it is not the situation जहाँ पर stage 1 का patients will be cured, because today the importance in a cancer is not only the stage, the biology of the disease,
of the tumor.
And the biology of the tumor, the background of the patients, like the profile of positive family history or not, and the patient's comorbidities, including lifestyles. Maybe अगर वो obese है, thin built है, he has comorbidities, he has heart ailments or not. So that is put together. So today the science has become more clearer, but there are definitely complexities. So one size is not going to fit all, because even in advanced stage cancers, if they are hormone positive, a single good pill can make these patients alive for many years. So if it is a triple negative, so even in early stage cancers, the patients might not live long. So it is becoming more and more complex. So the basic understanding is that any stage of cancer today is treatable, may not be curable. So as early as you detect the tumors, so there is a chance that these patients will be cured. So we need to have a national insurance policies, because like the Western world, so many people, besides awareness, maybe because of the cost, so they doesn't reach to the physician or the oncologist or the hospital for the treatment.
Right. रंजना मैम, हमने ये सुना डॉक्टर मल्होत्रा को, डॉक्टर विश्वास को. अब दोनों ये कह रहे हैं कि इतना सिंपल नहीं है कि अगर आप अर्ली स्टेज में आएंगे तो पक्का क्योर हो जाएंगे और लेट स्टेज में आएंगे तो फिर कुछ नहीं हो सकता. It's not black or white anymore. And our treatments have advanced so much that we can give a good quality of life to people to women who present themselves with breast cancer. Now, अब हमें जब ये पता है तो हम लोगों को कैसे समझाएं कि डरना नहीं है, और मतलब ये भी उनको बताना है कि आप इससे लड़ सकते हैं. अब हमारे देश में आयुष्मान भारत स्कीम भी आ गई है, जहाँ पॉसिबिलिटी है कि यह ट्रीटमेंट मिल सके उन वर्ग को भी जहाँ जिनकी कमाई इतनी ज़्यादा ना हो, उनके फिर मॉनेटरी कंस्ट्रेंट्स हो. तो हमें डर भगाना है, एक तो बीमारी का और एक ट्रीटमेंट का. तो क्या बोलना है, कैंसर हर कोई फाइट कर सकता है और जीत सकता है, कि जल्दी आप पता करें तो जीतेंगे? हम कैसे कम्युनिकेट करें कि ये लड़ाई ऐसी है जो सब जीत सकते हैं?
देखिए, सबसे पहले तो जो अभी तक का हम लोग का प्रेजेंटेशन का फॉर्मेट रहा है, दो तरह का रहा है. एक तो ये रहा है कि कितना खतरनाक है, भयानक है, इसकी जो जांच करवाने के बाद अगर पता चलता है तो लगता है कि भाई अब डेथ सेंटेंस है, अब इसके बाद हम ठीक नहीं हो सकते हैं. तो एक तो ये जो जिस तरह से, दूसरा वाला जो हिस्सा है उसमें काफी सारे लोग, जिसमें सेलिब्रिटीज भी शामिल हैं, सब लोग भी हैं, कि ये लड़ाई हम जीत गए हैं. और वो कहीं ना कहीं एक तरह का मैसेज देता है कि ये कोई बहुत भारी मुसीबत है जिसको कि हमें लड़ना है और फिर हमें उसको जीतना है. मतलब ये कि हमारी तरफ से बहुत सारा उसके लिए प्रयास है. ऐसा नहीं है. तमाम और स्वास्थ्य की कठिनाइयों की तरह ये भी एक है. अगर टीबी हो जाती है तो उससे भी तो लड़ना है, उससे भी तो जीतना. वो भी तो सर्वाइवर है जो उससे लड़के जीत रहा है. या मान लीजिए HIV हो गया है, HIV के साथ भी जी रहे हैं, तो वो भी तो एक लड़ाई जीत. लेकिन कैंसर के बारे में कुछ इतना थोड़ा सा मुझे लगता है ड्रामेटाइज भी किया गया शुरू में. अब तो सब ठीक बात हम लोग कर रहे हैं, लेकिन थोड़ा सा उसको हम लोगों ने बहुत ज्यादा एक तरह से कैंसर सर्वाइवर ना हो गया, कोई बहुत बड़ा युद्ध जीत कर आप आ गए. तो ये सब नहीं अगर हो और साधारण ढंग से औरतों के दिमाग में ये बात डाली जाए कि ये एक ऐसी बीमारी है कि अगर आप ध्यान नहीं देंगी तो फिर देर हो जाएगी. अगर आप ध्यान देंगी और आप अपने शरीर को आप शीशे के सामने देख सकती हैं खड़े होकर के, हर महीने आप अपने ब्रेस्ट की जांच कर सकती हैं. आपको मालूम है, मान लीजिए बहुत माइन्यूट है, तब तो बहुत माइनर है, छोटा कोई ट्यूमर है तो पता नहीं चलेगा. लेकिन नॉर्मल, मतलब एक नॉर्मल जो सेल्फ टेस्ट है, और फिर डॉक्टर के पास जब आप जाती हैं, आखिर बच्चे तो होते ही हैं और बच्चे, इतने सारे बच्चे पैदा करने के लिए गायनेकोलॉजिस्ट के पास आप जाती हैं, तो वो भी एक प्रैक्टिस होनी चाहिए. आप गायनोकोलॉजिस्ट के पास जाती हैं तो कोई जरूरी नहीं कि सिर्फ रिप्रोडक्टिव हेल्थ के बारे में ही बातचीत हो, आप ब्रेस्ट के बारे में क्यों नहीं बात कर सकती है। लेकिन कहीं भी आप नहीं सुनेंगी कि कोई गायनोकोलॉजिस्ट पूरे देश, मतलब हम लोग तो इतना काम करते हैं लोगों के बीच में, तो मुझे मालूम है कि वो कभी ये नहीं कहेंगे कि नहीं आप अपने सेल्फ टेस्ट का ये तरीका आप करिए, या फिर आप किसी से अगर आपको थोड़ा भी शक है तो जाके आप किसी को दिखा लीजिए। तो अगर वो एक साधारण ढंग से उसके नॉर्मलाइजिंग दी अप्रोच टू डीलिंग विद कैंसर, it is very important. We have to normalize it, and second, feed it with right information. Let's not make it a kind of, some kind of a big celebrity surviving it and that becoming a kind of role model. Then just some village women came to another group of women and told her that, look, this is what is happening to her. Let's go to the doctor. Show it to the doctor and everything will be all right. And not necessarily your breast will be operated upon. एक तो ये बड़ा डर होता है कि हमारा स्तन काट लेंगे और फिर हम क्या करेंगे, उसके बाद हमारा औरतपना खत्म हो जाएगा। मतलब ये बहुत सारी इस तरह की जो मन में जो है इन सब बातों से पैदा होता है। तो मुझे लगता है एक तो नॉर्मलाइज करना चाहिए, एकदम सही इंफॉर्मेशन। डॉक्टर साहब ने बड़ी अच्छी बात कही, मैं किस किस स्टेज पर आप आए तो क्या हो सकता है, अब ये जानकारी आप बताइए, ये तो एक्सपर्ट के पास ही है ना, ऑन्कोलॉजिस्ट के पास है, हम लोग कितना जानते हैं इन सब चीजों के बारे में। लेकिन ये नॉर्मलाइजिंग द अप्रोच टू कैंसर ट्रीटमेंट एंड ऑल्सो द इंफॉर्मेशन, the right information to travel to every nook and corner of the country, to the village. And also the third thing, how we can do it, now that's a big question. I think certainly we need to launch a very systematic media campaign. We are doing Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, we are doing lots of other things, and we know that these campaigns eventually reach people and they help. Small family, the whole message of small family, things like those, it takes time, but we have to start. So there has to be a systematic campaign. And also I think we need to involve the whole of the gynecologist team of doctors who are treating women for birthing of the children. They must also be very conscious and make women conscious of it, not only oncologists.
Yes, that's definitely true. रंजना मैम, गांव की क्या बात कर रहे हैं, मैं भी जब अपने गायनेकोलॉजिस्ट से मिलने जाती हूँ, चलो आपका पेप्समेयर कर देते हैं, पेप्समेयर तो कर देते हैं पर ब्रेस्ट एग्जाम नहीं करते, मतलब it is not on the radar. But I want to bring Kavita in here. Kavita is a caregiver, and I want to ask her, Kavita, the doctors are telling us, Dr. Biswas said it's not black or white. It doesn't mean you come early, you will 100% get cured. It depends on the biology of the tumor. If you come late, the biology of your tumor may impact your recovery as well. It doesn't mean it's a death sentence. As a caregiver that you have worked with cancer patients, how important is the messaging? Because you instill fear in one cancer patient, that may translate to 5 other people that oh God, it's really bad, it's like a death sentence. So how do we communicate so that people are positive about this, they're more proactive about this and not fearful about it?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, adding to the context of, I was just hearing all the speakers, whatever they're speaking, it's absolutely right. The fear is a major thing. Like, people don't come up. So even if they notice or something, they don't come up and share. I'm the caregiver for my own mother. So I have seen in my own family, like, see, I'm educated. My mom is like, not so highly educated. Maybe that could be one of the reasons she couldn't share the things with me. So when she was initially diagnosed with the advanced breast cancer, it was already metastatic brain breast cancer. So the secondary was found in brain, the primary was in the breast. So I don't know, for whatsoever reason, we see, I have my medical checkup every year. I get my medical checkup every year done. I also take my mom along with me for the medical checkup. She has visited the gynecologist. Gynecologist has seen her. She has tested for the cervical and everything. I don't know whether she has examined the breast or not. Even today, for my surprise, they never do. That's what. If she had done her job at the first place, today I wouldn't have landed up in this situation now. So I feel very bad about it. And even it's my mistake. We carry a family history of the cancer. My mother's sister had it. So I would have been little proactive on this. No. I don't know. Somehow it didn't strike me. Like, when I took her to the gynecologist, for some reason I didn't bring the topic of the breast. Can you also check that? I don't know. At that point, I was conscious that my mom will get conscious. She'll think about it. For some reason, I didn't brought the topic. Today, by the time it got diagnosed, the half the battle is lost. Things are not in our hand. See, for my mother, it's only prognosis now. It's extending her life through drugs. There's no cure for her. It's treated as a terminal disease in her case. So as a caregiver, with my experience, what I would suggest is not just the person, as that many women are going through this situation, we as a sister, like woman as a wife, mother, as a sister, as a guardian, as a friend, as a well-wisher, spread this awareness. See, and sometimes the systems would not show up. In my mom's case, is 70 years old and she was very active lady. She used to do her work on her own. We didn't even had a single maid in the house. She used to work upon everything. So there was not even a single symptom until it reached the stage 4. So that's what I'm trying to tell. So we have to be very proactive and start observing each and every sign. And also we should not ignore any signs and symptoms that we come across.
Kavita,
So
I just want to stop
sorry.
you here. You said that your mom was active at 70 years. She did not have any sign of primary breast cancer. Then how did you figure out something was wrong?
Yeah, she didn't have any sign. Evidently, even her reports were clear. The liver was clear, the pancreas were clear, the kidneys were clear, the heart was clear.
These are blood reports.
Yeah, everything was clear for her. So see, what happened is even the big doctors, when I took her to the first time when it was diagnosed in the month of March, you know how summer is in India. So they were like, the symptoms misleaded. Like when she was first diagnosed, the symptoms misleaded. All of them thought it could be a sunstroke when I took her to hospital. And 3 of the doctors in major hospitals tried treating for the sunstroke. It didn't work out. 4th time again, when she vomited and when her levels have come down, I have to insist a doctor, I have to insist a neurologist, please done an MRI scan. All this started with a headache. After headache, all is triggered. And she was never like this. She was never sick for so long time. Could you please run an MRI? Because I got a complete body checkup done. So now that the only part left over, could you run an MRI for her? When doctor has run an MRI, we found a tumor in her brain. So at that point in time, we were not sure whether it was cancerous or non-cancerous. Again, we have to go for a biopsy. That's what I'm telling. By then, half the battle is lost. When we got her reports, also they were not clear like where the primary has developed initially. So they have to run a PET scan to understand. So the only good part is, as just now Dr. Biswas has shared, there are different types of cancer in breast cancers, like positive receptor cancers. So in her case, it was like a HER2. It was a positive receptor cancer which can be treated through hormones. So that way she was on a little safer side, where we had to put her on a drug-based treatment. But otherwise, the battle was lost by then. So.
Yeah, awareness is important, Dr. Malhotra, but how would you classify Kavita's mother's case? Is this bad luck? Is this medical negligence? Is this less proactiveness by the side of the family, knowing that there was a family history of cancer? What would you say here?
So first of all, I think let's not start this blame game business. My heartfelt sympathies and empathy to Kavita and her mother and the family. But as they say in the English language, if you hear hoofbeats outside your window, you think of a horse, you don't think of a zebra. So rare, unusual presentations happen. Rare, unusual presentations happen in all diseases, and no medical professional is to be blamed for that. On one side, if I start getting an MRI done for every single patient of headache who comes to me, then you guys are only going to say ki this is over investigation, this is this, this is that, this is a kickback with the lab. All that blame game will happen. So let's not do the blame game here. Let's find out take home messages which we can convey to our audience. So one message which is coming pretty clearly and which is already being implemented now is that when the lady goes to a gynecologist, she should also be counseled about breast health, and maybe a breast examination should be done, and maybe self breast examination should be taught, right? And of course, the awareness has to be spread by our media and our educated people like Kavita. If you have a family history of breast cancer, you have a 6-time higher chance of breast cancer in the family. So if you were aware that your Masi had breast cancer, maybe you should have taken the initiative and gotten an MRI done of your mother once a year. So, no, again, no blame game. In hindsight,
But
everything is much clearer. So let's not go over there. Now, as Dr. Biswas, my very dear friend, has pointed out, we have different types of breast cancer, and the natural history determines not only the prognosis but also the presentation. Say, for example, if patients have a triple negative breast cancer, like we have three targets in the breast tumor. Whenever we diagnose a breast tumor, we look at three targets. One is the estrogen receptor, the progesterone receptor, and the HER2 receptor. Now, if all these three receptors are minus, the tumor does not express any one of these. It is known as a triple negative breast cancer. And this disease has a propensity to spread very quickly and spread specifically to the brain and to the liver. As contrasted to this, if you have a hormone receptor positive tumor, and this can come back after treatment, after apparently curative treatment. This can recur, this can come back 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line also. And it usually spreads to the bones, sometimes to the lungs. So, and even in same types of tumors in different individuals, they behave differently. So the biology of the tumor and the environment in the patient has, that actually dictates how and where and when the spread of the disease will happen.
Right. Dr. Melissa Gao of Novartis is also with us here. And Dr. Gao just will update you what we've discussed so far is that Ranjana ma'am has said there needs to be more awareness. We need to remove the stigma. Dr. Biswas and Dr. Malhotra have said there's no one size that fits all. Cancers can be different for different patients. Early stage, diagnosis could mean cure. It doesn't mean that late stage diagnosis is a death sentence. There could be good outcomes also that come through. Now, I want to come to you. In advanced stages of disease, it requires both medicines and therapies. And effective medicines may not always be generics, and the access to medicine can become a barrier for treatment. So, how can this be overcome for patients of advanced breast cancer?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm really sorry I was late because I had another meeting just now. So thank you again for inviting me to this very exciting, program. I was thrilled to join this program when I first received the invitation. Thank you again. Yes, I heard the conversation among the panelists. I fully agree. I mean, the purpose or objective of our work is bring the innovative medicine to our patients. So to breast cancer patient in this case. So we also know that India is a self-pay market. So for any innovative or medicine into Indian market, only 10% of public reimbursement coverage currently in India, and maybe around 6 or 7% private. The patient needed to pay out of their own pocket. And I also know that more than 50% of the population can afford the medication only if supported by government. And then the medication supported by the government mainly focusing on, let's take breast cancer as an example, probably chemotherapy, endocrine treatment, or some traditional treatments. So still, there's a large patient population do not have the affordability for those medications. But in the other hand, I think there's also true that there have been significant advance in treatment. So Novartis, of course, we are not only sit here and wait to wait the solution or wait the something happen. So actually, as Novartis, we have a lot of programs. First of all, we try to raise awareness of breast cancer. So we closely work with patient advocacy group to raise the awareness among the patients, but not only with the patient, but also raise the awareness in with government and also payers. So let them to understand the advanced breast cancer and understand the treatment for breast cancer and understand the urgency to provide those medication, especially innovative medication, to the breast cancer patient in India. So this is some efforts we are currently making as a company, as an organization, together with local team and also with the local governments and different parties. So in terms of accessibility, I think we try to bring different solutions to the patient with breast cancer in India. First of all, if the the indication of a new medication is not approved in India, so we can provide we so-called managed access program from our medical team. So this is applied to those drugs probably approved from FDA or from EU, but not approved in India. As long as the patient, fulfill certain criteria, and the physician can apply this kind of we call the MAP program for the patient, so the patient can early access those drugs probably not has not approved in India. So once the indication approved in India, probably there was still a couple of months or sometimes years until the drug is reimbursed in Indian market. So at that period of time, our Novartis also provide a so-called patient access program. So we can use different program, either limited the monthly cost of the therapy or total lifetime cost of the treatment, or the mixed model. So provide the access for those patients to receive the innovative treatment from Novartis. So
all right.
Yeah.
So
I
Dr.
think
yes, please go on.
Oh, okay. So you have any questions, comments? Feel free to.
Yeah, so this is a very innovative thing that Novartis is doing to provide the latest medicines to those who may require it in India. But this leads to a follow-up questions that is this a recourse that patients can take, especially in areas which are smaller cities and villages? And for this, I want to go to Dr. Biswas here. Now, I want to understand from you, how are tier 2 and tier 3 cities as well as rural India faring when it comes to diagnosis and management of advanced breast cancer? And like Dr. Gao was saying, what is the chance or the possibility that the patient may be able to access latest drugs from the manufacturer themselves if they're not approved in our country?
Yeah, I just got an SMS. So India's health budget, 4th lowest in the world. These are Times of India now. So
well, I just said that. That's what I just said, doctor. That, we spend the least on the health.
So I think so. India is a big generic market, and we are so thanks to companies like Novartis, but we are thankful to our own scientists who have made more generic copies, and they are absolutely the same standard. And the whole globe is looking at India at this moment. Even countries in the Western world, in the Europe also, they are doing the clinical trials with us because they are also finding it difficult because science has advanced. So there are many drugs targeted therapies. Even governments like US and the Europe, whole Europe is struggling. So they are also looking at us in the generic market. So definitely science. So thanks to companies like Novartis and many other companies who have come forward, spend so much money in terms of research. Otherwise, we wouldn't have drug. But thanks to also countries like us, where our scientists could actually innovate such drug at such a beautiful price. And that's the reason that we are seeing that many patients are even benefited, and even the whole world is looking at this. Coming to tier 2 cities, so I came back to my own state 15 years back. So that was in 2005, and today in 15 years from then now, so I think there are 6 private cancer hospitals. There are 2 government, the regional cancer centers. India is one of the first regional cancer center. AIMS Bhubaneswar is there. So I think so we had a steady progress in terms of cancer treatment. We have at least now 6 radiation machines. We have 4 PET CT scans. So being a tier 2 cities, so I think so there is enough change, and that change is welcome, and that has happened to many cities in the country. So now you can see there are cancer groups like SCG. So you can see there are around 30 cancer centers in the country. You can see American Oncology Institute. So many have Narayan Hridayalaya. So there are many Apollo groups, care groups. So I think so India is really probably progressing fast, and definitely in last 1 decade, I think there is enough change to actually congratulate the people. And if we talk about the cancer caregivers like the DM Medical Oncology, when I joined in 2000, so there are only 8 seats in the country as a doctorate of medical oncology. And today you can see there are more than 100 they are passing out from different institutes. In fact, I have two students in my under me in Bhubaneswar. So that's a sea change. So only not the infrastructure, you need to improve with the caregivers, the medical oncologists, radiation oncologists, surgical oncologists. We talk about pathology, molecular, even the enhancement of different radiological imaging. So in that regards, many tier 2 cities have actually improved, and so is at this Bhubaneswar. So I don't think that my patient should be going to Mumbai. So once the system is like that, so one patient get a diagnosis, the next day they take a flight to Mumbai or Hyderabad to Bangalore. But COVID has actually made many people understood that you have international quality doctors at your own place, and you can see. So we are seeing more than 2 times patient what we haven't seen pre-COVID. So that was the probably the good side of COVID, that many people realized that at a lower cost you can get a beautiful treatment at your near your home, for which you may not have to go or miles from this place, and that is true for many tier 2 cities in the country today.
Right. Ranjana ma'am, I want to come to you. You said we need public campaigns, because you said, campaigns like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, these campaigns work. Ultimately, the message percolates down to people. It may take some time. So do you think policymakers should devise specific interventions, keeping in mind, some kind of stigma attached to breast cancer, or, the fear that it is a death sentence? How should the ideal campaign be, and is it about time that we start a full-fledged campaign about this? And who should be messaging? Is it the doctors? Is it the community ASHA workers? Is it patients who've recovered? How should a campaign be structured and go out to increase awareness?
I think marketing medicine is one thing. Also trying to reach out to people with best of the services another. But when the knowledge is not there, when the information is not there, when people are not aware, and also they can't afford it, then certainly all that doesn't really percolate down to the last person. And women are the last person in our country. So for such an advocacy, I think advocacy campaign, I would say, so advocacy at 3 levels. Level 1 is at the policymakers level, because we do need 2 types of intervention. One is increased budget, and specifically budget for women's illnesses, all kinds of, including breast cancer. In fact, that's something which can be very easily done. It is achievable. So they better allocate specified resources, and also try to bring into the Ayushman Bharat and all the other health-related schemes and projects. So that's one thing with the policymakers. Number 2, I think we have to bring in the insurance here, because somehow we ignore insurance when it comes to health. It is late arrival on our scene in India, but for women's health insurance, still there are many ifs and buts. I think we need to really work hard on that system. A lot of countries' systems have worked for health because of the insurance has worked very effectively. So that's the second suggestion I have for the policymakers. Now let's go to the mid-level, which is the service providers. And in service providers, from doctors, and in doctors, I think as important it is to have oncologists, we have to have gynecologists included. And every marketing has to be done through them. They must be involved in that. And then down to the ASHA workers, because ASHA workers are the first point of contact. Even during COVID, when we are doing the COVID recovery project in Delhi and many other states, a very intensive program to reach out to ASHA workers, do you know they have not been even informed how to protect themselves? They don't know how to identify. It's taken so many months when they become aware, and they were pushed into the work immediately. The moment the COVID situation came, they were supposed to go and deliver community health services. So this is really not fair with women who are working at the grassroots level, and this is totally wrong strategy unless you train them. So invest in training of the first responders. The first point of contact for the public. That is extremely important, and I think there is need for, and this for companies to think that they have 2% CSR to spend. So why not spend on these things? Why not you spend on campaigns? Why not you spend on training ASHA workers? Why not you? Now the number 3, I think you have to partner. There's no shortcut to partnering with lot of women's organizations, NGOs, lot of people who are really promoting and who are capable of doing advocacy at the national level, at the level of policy changes, and also who are capable of doing advocacy at the grassroots level, both. So I think there's very important partnerships that you have to develop. Don't ignore women's groups and organizations. They are very effective. When it comes to campaigns about women, women's health, I think nobody has done a brilliant job other than the women themselves and women's groups and organizations themselves. So I think that kind of focus, a gender perspective to giving healthcare services to women in the context of breast cancer.
All right. Dr. Malhotra, you were talking about, how, breast cancer has presented in stage 1 or stage 2 for a woman. She's been treated. And then many years later, there may be, instance of another tumor that appears either in the brain or the lung or the liver. A relapse happens. Now, what is the cause for such patients who feel that they have been cured of the primary breast cancer? What is the follow-up involved, and how important is it to drive home this point also that you need your follow-ups to be regular?
So whenever you're treating a breast cancer, or in fact any other cancer, whatever the stage it might be, stage 1 or stage 2 or stage 3 with curative intent, there is always a chance, smaller in the earlier stage, much less in stage 1, much more in stage 3, that the disease will come back. It can come back at the local site, or it can come back at a different site, like in the lungs or in the brain or in the liver or in the bones. So what we normally ask our patients to do is to come for frequent checkups. If the disease is, say, stage 3, then we follow up that patient much more rigorously. And why do we follow up the patient properly? Because if the disease has to come back, then we would like to catch it at the very first sign of recurrence, when the number of cells in the body are much less. And sometimes we can reoperate, or we can control it with chemotherapy or hormone therapy or radiotherapy or surgery. So it is important to counsel the patient that there is a small chance if you have stage 1 disease, a bigger chance if you have stage 3 disease, that sometimes in the future, few months down the lane, few years down the lane, and sometimes, as I said, in the hormone receptor positive breast cancers, you can have a recurrence 10 years, 15 years down after diagnosis, after treatment also. So initially the follow-up is more intense, more rigorous. We examine the patient, we get some tests done. And as more and more time passes between the treatment and the follow-up, then the follow-up becomes longer also, every 3 monthly, every 6 monthly, every 12 monthly. And the tests also become less rigorous. And the second message which we unequivocally want to convey to the patient is that if you have
any symptom, if your body feels different in any way, then you have to not ignore that. It could be an early sign of the disease coming back. Have a checkup, go to your treating doctor sooner rather than later.
So you said you run tests. What typically are these tests, Dr. Malhotra, for follow-up patients?
So most of the time, breast cancer spreads to either the lungs or the liver or the bones. So the most important thing is that we take a history from the patient. If the patient has absolutely no complaints, then it is very unlikely that the disease will have spread. But if the patient has any symptoms, say a persistent, prolonged dry cough, which is not going away with antibiotics, which is not because of allergy, that could be like a metastasis sitting in the lungs, and then we get a test done. Initially, we ask for a chest X-ray. Similarly, if there is a lump or a bump in a bone or severe pain in the bone, then again that is a red flag. The patient should come to us immediately, and then we can get some tests done. We can get a bone scan done. We can get a MRI of the site done. We can get a PET scan done. So, most important message which we would like to convey is that regular follow-ups are important, even if you had early stage disease. And if you have any symptoms which may or may not be related to the disease, see your treating doctor as soon as possible.
You're right. Kavita, I would like to come to you if you're still there. Kavita, from your mom's treatment, we just want to try and understand what you went through mentally, because those who are diagnosed with advanced stage of cancer, they feel that their future is very uncertain. There's this lurking fear that the cancer will come back even if I'm treated now. Did your mom go through this? And if yes, what did you try to do to assure her?
Uh, to be honest, I haven't shared about the disease with my mom because my mom's case is so different. She's, when it was initially diagnosed in the brain, we operated. We have done a craniotomy and followed by a target radiation and a full brain radiation to her. So doctors counseled her. Thanks to doctors, the good team of doctors worked on her brain, and craniotomy went successful, and the recovery was also good with her. What happened is after the radiation, we were advised to give a radiation for the brain, for the full brain and the targeted where the lesions were present. So after the radiation, there was a memory disconnect. There was a memory loss. This was expected, but for her survival, the treatment was needed to give the radiation and all. So we had to accept that fact, and we have given the radiation. After that, me and my husband decided not to tell her, and we also told few of our closer relatives not to discuss about the disease. There's no point in discussing with her because it's a brain related thing, and it's a sensitive thing, right? She already has a neurological thing, brain thing. On top of it, we did not want to create any additional stress, so we didn't discuss with her. The only challenge what I had was what me and my husband see. The technology, as all of you have shared on the forum, the technology is advanced. The innovation is going on well. I work for Novartis, so we know how the company and the associates work. To bring up a new innovation in the medicine in the market. So with all these huge efforts and all, what I would try to bring here is for people like us in India, especially in the Asian market, it is very difficult to access the medicine. The reason could be the financial assistance. See, at an advanced stage, the drug is very expensive. Let me not quote the exact price of the drug. Even you have such beautiful programs called patients assistant programs or the programs run by the government. Still, it becomes very expensive. Like as one of my Novartis colleague in the forum has mentioned that you purchase the drug for the lifetime. When I purchase the drug for the lifetime, the cost comes to 10 lakhs, and then it becomes a free access for you. So initially, you should be ready to pump up that money at that point in time. So one has to be financially prepared, mentally prepared to handle the patient. See, it's my own mother. First, I need to digest the fact that she's in advanced stage. And I should also financially prepare myself to pump up the money to extend her survival, like the prognosis. So these are the challenge we have, which we need to accept. And I cannot say that the medicine access is so easy. It is difficult, and Ranjana madam has rightly suggested that we need to increase the budget of the policy makers. She has rightly pointed, like point number one, the policy makers, the advocacy, whatever she briefed, great inputs from her. So I think the budget, I mean, the government has really, there's a need to really look into it and extend the access of these things, like especially the medicine access when it comes to the expensive drugs, like whatever right now she's on the palbociclib drug, where we spent 86,000 per month. It's the 21 days medicine, we pay 86,000 for that medication, like 21 tablets. So not everybody is in a position to afford this. What I'm trying to bring in here is.
Right. So affordability is an important factor, Kavita, but world over, treatment for cancer is expensive, even in a country like the United States, where there's so much advancement and so much innovation being done. So, Dr. Kao, you spoke about the special programs that you have for patients, the special campaigns you run so that they have access to treatment in our country. Now, India is an underinsured market. We don't take a lot of insurance, especially health insurance for women may come really last. It's maybe just an add-on to your primary health insurance. So is insurance the way forward to get access to latest medicines? Or should one wait for generics, like Dr. Biswas said that a lot of India is like the generics manufacturer of the world. How can what should patients look up to if they are diagnosed with advanced breast cancer? Say they have insurance, so what should they look forward to?
Yeah, first of all, let's come on this. So the high cost for anti-cancer drug. So this is not only an issue for India. I think this is an issue for all of the world. Yes. So as you said, even US, this is also issue. In Taiwan, where I come from, this is also issue. For Kavita, you mentioned the anti-CDK4/6 inhibitor. This is also very expensive in Taiwan as well. Not everyone can afford that. So this is a universal phenomenon, not only an issue in Taiwan. So another thing I want to clarify, the managed access program I just mentioned from Novartis, actually that is a free program. We provide a free drug to those patients who are eligible for this program. Of course, that will not be a large patient population. It's only a small patient population that fulfill this criteria, but that's free. So I agree. I mean, the affordability is a big issue.
A big challenge.
Yeah, it's a global issue, not only in India. But in India, I think one possible solution is that because in India, you have the world's largest health insurance system. So this is also something Novartis is working on with the government, with the payer. We try to, work with the system to let the innovative drug, for the breast cancer drug from Novartis, can be included in the system. So the large patient population, not only those sitting on the top of the wealth pyramid, people in India can access those drugs, but also for those low middle income Indian population can access those drugs. So this is some ongoing efforts we are making from Novartis. I think this is also something the other pharmaceutical company is also doing. So I think by this, increase the coverage of the insurance system, and then we can provide, sustainable access of innovative drug for those cancer patients in India.
Okay. Dr. Biswas, I want to understand from you that the data is telling us that in rural areas, the mortality rate is higher. The incidence may be lower, but the mortality rate is higher because of late stage presentation. So how is the management of cancer, of advanced breast cancer in tier 2 and tier 3 cities? Are they generally referred to bigger cities? Is there another whole cost and cycle of transport, of staying, have to be organized. How is it like in tier 2 and tier 3 cities for women diagnosed with advanced breast cancer?
So Anisha, before I answer that question, I'll just raise a controversial question. So what is the death rate of COVID in India and abroad? So do you have the right statistics for COVID death? So we understand that many COVID deaths are also manipulated. So maybe at the state level, national level, even in the US, even in China. So nobody wants to show their death rate. So same is the cancer. So you understand that population-based cancer registry is only there with few centers.
Few centers, yes.
Few centers.
The coverage is also not very wide.
Absolutely. So when I started oncology, that was 6 centers, and now also it is only the 6 centers. So now there are n numbers of 200 plus cancer centers in the country. So unless and until each cancer centers come to a consensus and put the data for the country, so this data is going to be skewed. So that's the reason that many patients, even in the urban population, so we don't have the right statistics. So definitely for those who are in the rural population, so supportive care, because they have to come to for a standard treatment, they have to come to either a regional cancer center or a tertiary cancer center, or even to the main cities where cancer treatments are available. Because today in situations like Odisha, many parts of Madhya Pradesh, so there is a project going on for that. Patients are prescribed protocols and they go back to their own rural areas or the medical centers and they get the treatment. But supportive care is not so advanced in those places, and something goes wrong post chemotherapy. So they had to come back to the main city to get the treatment and supportive treatment, because every time it may not be that. So you'll go away without any having toxicity. So you land up at times with toxicity amounting to a death. So I think the supportive care, though we have made some infrastructure for giving away chemotherapy, because government for cytotoxics and to some extent some targeted therapies like trastuzumab, if we are talking about breast cancer, are given free. But supportive care, which is paramount importance, which will only come with either a good centers or a team of doctors or somebody who is experienced, somebody following up the protocol written, just copy and cat it. So that doesn't make sense at times. So that is just because of the huge population and the huge population of cancer patients or who are unable to travel because of so much of logistic issues. So we are just getting away with that. So I think at this moment we have many cancer patients with us. The statistics may not have the right answer but probably we are also leading the same way as the developed world in terms of cancer. So it is not those 10 common causes of death in the society. So I think it is number within first 3 causes of cancer death even in India.
Right. So Dr. Malhotra, what do we tell women?
I'm sorry, Anita, your audio is not
when
clear.
they present themselves with advanced cancer.
Can you please repeat the question? I just lost your audio for a minute. Can you just repeat?
Can you hear me now, Dr. Malhotra? So when women in our country present themselves with advanced breast cancer, what is the messaging when you start treatment, and how do you explain to them what are the outcomes and how to manage the expectations?
Somehow I didn't hear the question very well. I'd like to recheck with you. You want to know that ladies with advanced breast cancer, how do we counsel them, and then how do we arrange funding for their treatment? Is that right?
How do you counsel them, and how do you counsel them about the outcomes of the treatment, the possibilities and the outcomes?
Okay, so the first thing and the primary responsibility of every oncologist is, as soon as he or she sees a new patient, you have to, of course, do the appropriate tests, come to a diagnosis, come to a stage, make a prognosis in your mind, and then you have to talk to the patient, explain to the patient, and make sure that the patient understands that this is the stage of the disease, this is what our approach is going to be. If it is stage 3 disease, then we are still going to approach you with the curative intent. If it is stage 4 disease, and lots of disease everywhere in most organs, then you have to explain to the patient and the family that our goal of treatment is going to be disease control. Our goal of treatment is not going to be disease cure. And the essential difference between these two, initial approach to cure and an initial approach to control, is that when you are looking at disease control and not at disease cure, when that is your goal, then the quality of life of the patient becomes the foremost thing. Of course, your secondary objective is to increase and improve the quantity of life also, but your primary goal becomes the quality of life of the patient. So if you're doing any intervention, any treatment which is reducing or making worse the patient's quality of life, then obviously that intervention is not right. Now, as contrasted to this, if you have a curative intent treatment going on, then you are a lot more aggressive. You ask the family and the patient to be a little more patient, a little more tolerant, to accept a little more toxicity, because there the intent of treatment is cure. And then once the treatment is over, then follow-up is much more intense and rigorous for patients who have advanced stage disease. There are two strategies which we follow when we treat patients with advanced stage disease. Either we give them a finite number of courses, say 6 cycles or 8 cycles or 10 cycles, and then give the patient a drug holiday. And sometimes if the patient is tolerating the treatment very well without any toxicities, and there is a good response in the tumor, then sometimes we indefinitely continue the treatment also. And then, sometimes after a few months, few years of intravenous chemotherapy, we sometimes shift the patient to oral chemotherapy. So we have lots of oral agents which are also coming, and oral agents are much more acceptable to the patient. So depending upon what type of disease the patient has, whether the patient has a hormone receptor positive disease, a HER2 receptor positive disease, there are lots of permutations and combinations which you can do in the treatment of the patient and maintaining the quality of life of the patient.
Right. Dr. Gao, Dr. Malhotra spoke about the quality of life and extending the period of life for those diagnosed with advanced breast cancer. Now, there is, I don't know if it's a misconception or not, but what happens is that in India now, cancer has become quite prevalent, the incidences, to an extent that in urban families, you would see perhaps nearly every family would have had some experience with cancer. Either an uncle or parent or somebody has been affected by cancer. And if the cancer has been reported 10, 15 years ago, the belief is, oh my God, it's really bad. If not the disease itself, the treatment is so bad that, life is just terrible. Now, even if I believe that now medicine has evolved and, the toxicity level has come down. So for those medicines which are available freely, how do you counsel? Because as a family member, I don't know how the patient is going to respond, what is to the toxicity level. I do, in my mind, I want the patient to live the longest and not die at all. So how, the doctor is telling us 1, 2, 3, these are the possibilities of treatment, and you could have quality of life, not sure about the quantity. We don't know how much toxicity you can handle. So as a patient, how do I decide? And on an overall basis, is medicine for cancer treatment now kinder to all kinds of patients?
Well, so I fully agree. I mean, in terms of quality of life for treating cancer patient, not only breast cancer patient, we don't want only bring the efficacy or the benefits of survival for the patient, but also want to maintain the quality of life for those patients. So for breast cancer, I mean, both doctors here should be very clear that for the treatment goal for early breast cancer is to kill the cancer, to kill every single cancer cell. But the treatment goal for advanced breast cancer actually is to prolong the life and maintain the quality of life. So this is very key point for the current treatment for advanced breast cancer. So as I said, with there being significant advance in treatment for breast cancer, not only from an efficacy point of view, but also from a quality of life of view. For example, so one of our medication, Rizana, not only bring the benefits of prolonged overall survival for the patient, but also provide very quality of life, improved quality of life in young female breast cancer. And this is also well recognized by ESMO, European Society of Medical Oncology. They have this kind of a standard magnitude of clinical benefit score. So of course, treatment efficacy, for example, progression-free survival, overall survival, is the key point, is the key element for the magnitude of clinical benefit score. But they add on the quality of life as a key point of evaluating the magnitude of clinical benefit score. So for our drug, actually, we are the only one listed as the highest magnitude of clinical benefit score as 5. So 5 out of 5. So which means our drug not only bring the efficacy, PFS, overall survival to the patient, but also bring the good quality of life to the patient. I think this is very important for breast cancer patients, especially for young female breast cancer patients nowadays.
All right. So that is important that, medicine has advanced this much that quality of life can be ensured when you start cancer treatment. Now, I'm going to start taking closing comments since you're coming towards the end of the show. I'll start with you, Kavita. Kavita, what are your expectations now? You're spending the money for your mother's health. What do you want for your mother now?
Honestly, Anisha, quality of life. So as we all discussed now, the quality of life is, let's accept it, quality of life is so poor when the advanced stage. So though we are spending money, we are battling along with her, we don't see the quality of life in her. Every time when I meet the oncologist, my question would be the same. I'm not blaming the drug, I'm not blaming the doctor. But the body should accept the medicine. It's 70-year-old, how much ever you're trying your best to keep her active, it is not possible. The toxicity is more. She should accept the medication. And her case is totally different. So what I say, Anisha, is the case to case, it is different. With my experience, it is quality of life is poor at the advanced stage. So my expectation would be quality of life in the upcoming innovation. And I really pray that we have some medication or something for the cancer, even at the stage 4, not controlling as a cure. So
Definitely. Everybody would want that, Kavita, that none of their family members have to suffer this. If it comes to them having got cancer, that they get completely cured. This is what every heart, every individual would want. So, Dr. Biswas, your closing comments. Dr. Malhotra has explained the counseling process to us, but sometimes you're so torn because for the family member, they cannot imagine their family, the patient not being with them. So sometimes they are very vehement that you try the most aggressive treatment when you yourself may feel that, perhaps it's going to be in vain. Then how do you strike a balance, between the quality of life and the outcome and the longevity? Would you counsel the family then? How do you strike that balance?
So cancer should be regarded as a pandemic, like in COVID. So it is not a single man's job. So it will start from a single individual to the top government. So that should be a priority now. Second thing is that we have lost many lives in the cancer way in last 7 months, focusing on COVID, and so that shouldn't have been there. Thirdly, so once each individual understand their role, and so that will percolate to every families in the country, and then we can choose between a quality of life and a quantity of life. Like as Kavita said that, so she has not revealed that to a 70-year-old mother. So that's not true in a country like US and Europe. So where everything has to be dictated, everything has to be informed. So we live in a country where still we see the patient's attendant coming and first see you that please don't tell my mother that she's suffering from a cancer, and but they are bringing the patient to a cancer hospital where you see so left, right, and side, so all they are cancer patients. So many times we
Sorry to interrupt, Dr. Biswas. In my case, we treated in care hospital. So we just managed the staff and everywhere she was going through. My mother cannot read English, so that's how we managed in her case. So I agree that there are everywhere the cancer boards and all. Case to case, it's a different thing. Yeah, but purposely, though we had an option to go for a charity hospital here, the Indo-American hospital, we opted to take her to care hospital because that was one of the reasons, like we did not wanted her to get to know when we take a specialized cancer center.
But
I agree with you. It
yeah,
happens.
but situation or is 70 years, suppose who is the head of the family, and suppose she understand English, then the things would have been different, no? So you have to take a consent because she has her own plans of the in the family, because she should know that how much life she has. Because we as the doctors should not dictate everything. We as a family members, we should not have expect that my patient should or shouldn't know everything. So that's the thing that we should improve with time, and then probably we can understand that everybody will accept what is good or bad in terms of quantity and quality of life.
All right. Dr. Malhotra, your closing comments. You know, this is a tough one. You know, the family is not resolved to or resigned to the fact that the patient will not be with them. The patient is unsure on what the future is like, what will be the quality of life. If how does the doctor then go ahead with the treatment, and what should be the intent?
Yeah, so these are really tough issues, and Dr. Gansham will bear me out. We face them on a daily basis. You have a patient who's taken a stage 4 disease, maybe breast or maybe some other cancer, who's taken treatment for 2, 3, 4 years. Most treatment options are exhausted. The patient is, uh, uh, you know, extensive disease is there, bad kidney functions, bad liver functions. You know that it is not safe to give any more specific treatment, but the attendants are still insisting कि नहीं मेरी मदर है और इनको कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए, आप कुछ करो और chemotherapy दो. So it's sometimes very difficult to strike that balance, and sometimes you have to tell the patient's attendants that just in the interest of doing something, don't do harm to your patient. So it's sometimes very tough for the family to accept that, okay, this is it, no more specific treatment, only supportive treatment. But for all stage 4 diseases, and unfortunately I think sooner or later Kavita and her husband will also have to take this decision. Okay, enough treatment, we have done whatever we could do, the doctors have done whatever they could do, this is it, now we have to stop specific treatment, continue on symptomatic treatment. We are not stopping treatment, but symptomatic and supportive treatment, no cancer directed therapy. So that stage happens in every stage 4 cancer patient's life. And you have to have a very smart, not only smart, but the balance between the mind and the heart has to be there. The mind says, we are not going to give, heart says we are not going to give up, let's give more treatment, maybe she will stand up and start walking again. And the mind says, enough, she is in trouble, she has not tolerating the treatment, we have already used all the options, stop. So that balance is very important. We help place all the options on the table for the patient. See, it is easiest for us to push in, requires the least amount of effort from our side. But to convince a relative, a loved one that this is it, this is enough, it's time to stop, that is much more difficult. But unfortunately, when you're dealing with stage 4 cancers, whether breast cancer or any other cancer, that situation inevitably happens. And then, it has to be a very empathic dialogue between the treating physician and the family. And, most of the times, I've been able to kind of convince the family that you've done everything you could. It's time to stop now. And but it's a challenge, and it's a very, very difficult decision both for the doctor and as well as the family.
Right. Dr. Kao, your closing comments. For advanced breast cancer, it is very tough. Advanced cancer is tough for the family and the patient. For advanced breast cancer, how much, progress can be made where, the quality of life is still maintained? And, what hope does it give to patients and their caregivers?
Well, I think what I can say is, as an employee of a pharmaceutical company, I think my colleagues in India will feel the same, that our purpose and our passion of our work is to bring the innovative drug to the patient for both efficacy of the drug and also the quality of life for the patient. So those are all our motivation for our everyday work. So in the meantime, we make every effort to make the drug accessible for those patients with cancer. So this is my message.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kaur, Dr. Malhotra, Dr. Biswas, Kavita, for joining us in this discussion today. It is our endeavor. The idea behind this campaign is that breast cancer is a screenable cancer. We need to create awareness so that we have women, men, all in the know about this, so that they can present themselves early in the disease, and they can get good outcomes from treatment. And I would request all of you to please go and sign this pledge. Let's create this awareness that this is a screenable cancer. This can be managed actively. You need to be aware of your own health, and it can be done. You can win this battle. Thank you all for joining us on the show today, and please do sign this pledge.
Thank you, Anusha. Enjoyed.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Kavita, thank you.